together again on the radio. And every time I see the name Starbucks in a story, I laugh because Starbucks makes me laugh. Because honestly, I'm just amazed at how you fools spend so much money on coffee. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I'm not saying I've never been to a Starbucks. I have. But I go in there as little as I possibly can. Because I believe spending $4.50 on a cup of coffee is insanity. Now, I admire Howard Schultz, the chairman of the board of Starbucks, for figuring out just how stupid you are. The fact that you would not only be willing to pay $4.50 for a cup of coffee, but then you'd be stupid enough to put money in a tip jar. I mean, the guy's a genius. Got to give him credit. God bless America. I'm all about free enterprise. I would never, ever propose that Starbucks be stopped in their effort to take every dollar you make. I think it's spectacular. I wish I thought of it. I mean, I wish I knew how stupid you are. You know, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I thought you were more intelligent than that. But Howard Schultz knew for sure that you weren't. He knew. I had an ex-girlfriend. I'm going to tell you about this. It's true. I had an ex-girlfriend who had a Starbucks card. You know, one of those rechargeable Starbucks cards? Now, first of all, they take American Express at Starbucks. Why do you need a Starbucks card? Because when you have a Starbucks card, all you're doing is giving them an interest-free loan. Like if you charge your card up with $50 or $100, they take that money out of your American Express card or your Visa card or your MasterCard, and they have the use of that money interest-free until you spend it, which could be days at Starbucks with what they charge for coffee. It could be hours. They get the use of your money for free. Multiply you and your stupid Starbucks card with the millions of other freaks, and you imagine how much money they're borrowing from people interest-free. It's remarkable. I mean, understand this. You could go into Starbucks today and hand them your MasterCard and buy a cup of coffee for $4.50. But no, you idiots want to lend them your money for free. Put it on your Starbucks card. So you've already paid them for the coffees you haven't drunk yet. By the way, does that protect you from price increases that are coming up at Starbucks? Absolutely not. You would think at least they would say to you, if we raise prices, if you have a Starbucks card, you get the coffee at the old price because you put the money in a month ago or whatever. No. They get an interest-free loan from you, and then if they raise prices, tough on you. Amazing. So she used to have the Starbucks card, and she would recharge the card every week for $50 every week. Every week. Because if you think about it, cup of coffee, and she'd go in for that caramel macchiato, which is one of the most expensive drinks on the menu. It's probably about 600 calories, this thing, right? And then, of course, when you get the caramel macchiato, you also have to get, a scone or something to go with it. So the bill is now up. You're closing in on $8 every time you go in. So if you go in 6 days a week, that's, $48. So every week, she would charge $50 to the Starbucks card. And I'm seeing this, I'm like, this is going to stop today. This is stopping right now. So what I did, I'm not making this up, and people who've been to my house know it's true. I bought one of these. I bought one of these $1,500 espresso makers. You get them at like Bed Bath & Beyond or Sur La Table or one of these stores, Williams-Sonoma. $1,500. Why is it $1,500? Because you don't have to do anything. You pour the beans in the top, you put the water in the reservoir, and you press a button and espresso comes out. And if you want it to taste like Starbucks, you can buy those overly roasted, practically burned Starbucks beans, and you can have the Starbucks coffee coming out of your machine. And at $1,500, think about it. She was spending $50 a week at Starbucks times 52 weeks. It's $2,600 a year. I spent $1,500 on an espresso maker, which sounds like a lot of money. But if you add in, $7 a week for beans That's another $364. The total cost of my first year was $1,864, which was cheaper than the $2,600 she was paying. So I saved $800 the first year. And after that, it was gravy. All I paid for was beans. The water is, next to nothing. And the beans, I was spending about $7 a week on coffee beans, maybe 10 in a busy week. That's it. So now I've had the machine for years. I've saved thousands and thousands of dollars, and I don't have to sit next to the freaks at Starbucks. And you know the freaks I'm talking about. You got that guy on the laptop who apparently doesn't have internet access at his little apartment. So he sits there on his laptop. He's like, he's in a hotspot there, a T-Mobile hotspot, and he's typing things. One day I was at the Starbucks in Santa Monica, on Montana and 6th Street in Santa Monica. There's a Starbucks there. And I was in there, and there's a guy, he's got the laptop, he's got his iPod, and he's got a cell phone, and he's talking very loudly on his cell phone, trying to convince everybody in the Starbucks that he's busy doing deals. He's doing deals. He's closing deals. Those terms are not acceptable. He's at the top of his lungs. He's sitting there with his laptop open, and there's all that world music playing in the background, all that Ziggy Marley music and everything playing in the background. And I mean, who wants to sit in this environment? And then in Santa Monica, of course, which is, as Harry Shearer has called it for years, the home of the homeless. You've got all the homeless people who wander in there after they've begged for $4.50. They stretch that out into an entire day of sitting with their feet up on the sofa in there. I mean, it's just a bunch of loons. And all these people who think that spending $4.50 on a cup of coffee is somehow civilized. And I just, for me, I just can't stand it. I just don't get it. I've never gotten it. But here's the latest on Starbucks, okay? Starbucks, I guess, is not making enough profit. They're not making enough profit. And again, don't misunderstand. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I'm not a hippie. I am a capitalist, and I own stock, and I own mutual funds, and I love capitalism. Love it. Okay. What I don't like is wasting money on stuff. And Starbucks is not making enough profit. So here's the latest on Starbucks, in case you haven't heard this. Starbucks said Monday it would raise U.S. prices for lattes, frappuccinos, and other freshly made drinks by 9 cents. By the way, do they have any drinks that are not rounded off to zeros or fives? How do you raise the price by 9 cents? If it's $4.55 for a caramel macchiato, does it become $4.64? I don't get it. It's the second price hike at Starbucks in less than a year. It says here the Seattle-based coffee retailer blamed rising costs for things including dairy products, energy, and fuel for the increase. In a statement issued after markets closed for regular trading, Starbucks said the price hike will take effect July 31st, bumping the cost of most drinks by about 3%. The cost of a 12-ounce so-called tall latte currently ranges from $2.45 to $3.15, depending on location, according to spokesman Brandon Borman. Brandon Borman. His mother was the queen of alliteration, I say. The increase will vary by drink and by market, but will average out to about, it's an average, 9 cents a cup, Borman said. The move comes a month after the coffee chain's chief financial officer warned that it would be, quote, very challenging for Starbucks to meet the high end of its 2007 earnings forecast, due in part to rising dairy prices. The higher costs have also been a concern for investors, who have said Starbucks shares down more than 20% this year. Borman said, we're always looking at the business costs. And given the rising cost environment in which we operate, we think this is an appropriate time. This is a business where people put money in a tip jar. And the service you get is they take coffee and they put it in a cup. Now, at McDonald's, they put soda in a cup. They put milkshake in a cup. They make an entire hamburger and they wrap it in paper and they bring it over to you. No tip jar at McDonald's, but Starbucks, not only do they charge you $4.50 for a drink at Starbucks. But then you idiots put money in the tip jar, which just blows me away. How stupid can you be? And now they're going to raise prices. That's good. Keep putting money in the tip jar. That's great. Says here, Borman said the increase will apply to coffees, lattes, frozen frappuccinos, and some tea-based drinks. So all you chai drinkers out there are in big trouble. Including fruit and tea blends made behind the counters in all of its domestic company-operated stores. Starbucks operates 6,300 company-owned stores in the United States, Borman said. The approximately 3,500 licensed stores control their own prices, but are expected to follow the move, he added. The increase will not apply to bottled drinks or food. The last price increase, 5 cents, took effect on October 3rd. They just raised prices. Says here the latest price increase may irk consumers, but analysts said investors would welcome the news. Dan Gelman, he's an analyst. He's a stock analyst on Wall Street with a firm called McAdams Wright Reagan. Has a buy rating on Starbucks shares. He said, I can't imagine that it comes as a surprise to anyone, but it should definitely be a positive on both sales and earnings going forward. Why would it be a positive on sales? They're going to sell more coffee by raising prices? You thought it was exclusive before. Now it's really exclusive. Jesus. As with past Starbucks price increases, analysts also said consumers were unlikely to balk at paying a few cents more for their daily caffeine fix. Morningstar restaurant analyst John Owen said there will probably be some grumblings initially, but at the end of the day, I think people aren't going to change their pattern of buying. That's because they're a bunch of morons, and everybody on Wall Street knows it. And the people at Starbucks know it. And I know it. But you'll keep paying. You'll pay whatever they ask. If they raise the price to $6 or $7 a cup, you'll keep paying. You will do it. You will do it. I say just buy an espresso maker, but raising prices at Starbucks. And by the way, I'd love to hear from the people who are upset about this. I'll bet there are people who are like, oh, I can't believe, I need my coffee in the morning. I can't believe. I bet there's people like, in their little world that's going to just upset the apple cart. Ridiculous. But, again, God bless America. Thank God you can come up with a business model that takes advantage of the fact that most people have low self-esteem and, feel like they deserve more. And they think that by spending $5 on a cup of coffee, that makes them a high roller. And that's really what's going on at Starbucks, isn't it? You got nothing going on at home. You're sitting by yourself there. You're sitting at the kitchen table drinking the Maxwell House, and you're saying, you know what? I need to boost my self-esteem. I need to go out to Starbucks, spend $5 on a cup of coffee, and sit there and listen to, music from the Caribbean and Africa in the background. I need to sit in the T-Mobile hotspot and appear to be doing deals and look important. I need to sit there and sip a latte and look around at all the other people with low self-esteem who are sitting there, who put money in the tip jar, who worry about whether the coffee is free trade certified and dolphin safe or whatever else they make, whatever else they claim about the coffee at Starbucks. You people are just a bunch of buffoons. I mean, come on, am I wrong about this?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
I can't get nothing done because your show's on the air.
That's the way we want to keep it, Chuck.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. 97.1 Free FM. SoCal's FM talk station.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Stacy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, dear.
Well, I was just calling to comment on this whole Starbucks thing that's going on here. And I used to be a big-time Starbucks person when I was going through college and everything, until I realized how much I was spending on average at Starbucks, and then I was like, okay, I got to cut that loose. So
how much was it?
You know what? I was actually for a long time I was using a gift card, but I didn't actually recharge my gift cards. I actually got a gift card going into college, you know, from everybody saying, oh, yeah, you're going to need this, or whatever, you know. So for most of the time I used that, and then I got addicted on those caramel frappuccino things, and so I started going in there, and I was spending about, oh, my gosh, sometimes I'd actually go twice a day to go get some Starbucks.
Right, so how much are you spending per week at Starbucks?
Per week, I think I was spending about 30 to 40 bucks.
A week?
A week. I was.
How much were you making?
You know what? I was working at a small-time job at that. Well, actually, I used to be working at Jamba Juice at that time. So I wasn't making that much, and Starbucks would be right there. So whenever I had to wake up really early, I'd go get some Starbucks.
So seriously, how much are you making at Jamba Juice?
At Jamba Juice, I was making about like $7 now.
And how many hours were you working?
Only about 20.
So you were making $140 a week minus taxes. So you're bringing home about $120 a week, and you were spending 40 of it, 1/3 of your take-home pay at Starbucks.
Yes.
1/3. Wait, 1/3 of your take-home pay.
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
I stopped that, and I've actually been making my coffee at home, like what you've been suggesting. I've been doing that for a long time because I found out how to do it, how to like make it the way that I like it.
Right.
So, yeah, once I started doing that, and occasionally I'll go there, but once they raise the prices, I mean, it's ridiculous to be spending $5 on a coffee when you can make it at home.
Not to mention the fact you can make, they sell Starbucks beans in the supermarket.
Yeah.
They sell them at Costco. I mean, you can be making Starbucks coffee at home.
Yeah, it's, well, you know, it wasn't the fact that it was the Starbucks coffee. I just like the Frappuccinos. That's what I used to love. So, and I don't know, you know, I couldn't actually know how to make it.
By the way, how many pounds did you gain during that time?
You know what? Actually, I don't gain weight
Because you could. Because let me guess. Because you couldn't afford food.
No. I actually lived at home, so I was living at home at the time. But I don't gain that much weight. So I was one of those lucky ones.
I see.
Yeah, I was very lucky because I don't gain that. I barely gain weight.
Yes, I know. You said that 4 times. Thank you very much. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Alex on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. Good to talk to you.
I know.
I spend about $50 a year on coffee, so I see where you're coming from. But my question to you is, you spend hundreds, if not thousands, on wine. So what's the difference?
Well, first of all, I don't spend as much as you think because in reality, I rarely drink a wine that's over $20 a bottle. And I don't drink wine every day. And by the way, on top of all of that, when I do drink an expensive wine, it's expensive for a reason. Because it's worth it.
Well, and expensive coffee is worth it to these people.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's only worth it because they don't know any better.
Well, I agree, it's crap.
I mean, you could make it at home for a lot cheaper than you get it at Starbucks, and you don't have to hang out with the crowd at Starbucks.
That's true. How much was that wine you bought in Italy, though? I'm just curious. You never said.
You mean when I had dinner? Well,
yeah.
I told you, well, the dinner included wine. The total for the dinner, which included the wine, was $2,400. But that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's not something I do every week.
Oh, I know. I was just curious. I mean, I've never had a $600 dollar bottle of wine, so I hope it was good.
It was spectacular. In fact, the 1986 Bordeaux I drank, the 1986 Chateau Haut-Brion, which is a first growth. It's one of the 5 top producers in Bordeaux. That may be the best bottle of wine I ever had in my entire life.
Well, you paid for it, so I hope it was good.
Well, my point is, look, if you're going to do something like that, get something really special. A cup of coffee?
Hey, I agree. I'm $50 a year, so I'm right there with you.
I mean, do you realize I could have bought, a $700 bottle of wine? I could have bought 2 of them a year instead of buying a cup of coffee every day.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Mike on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hello, brother.
Hello, son.
How are you doing, brother?
Great.
I'm doing well. You know what? I've been waiting a long time for you to hit this subject on the Starbucks coffee. I cannot stand people paying $5 for a cup of coffee that tastes like crap that you can probably get a better cup at McDonald's for less than $1. I mean, it sucks. It's just like the water these days. People spending a few extra bucks for designer water.
I think the funniest thing, though, is people putting money in the tip jar at Starbucks. You're just a fool. You're just
you're
a
already
fool.
paying an arm for the cup of coffee, and now you're putting in an extra leg into this tip jar. I mean, and half the time they don't get it right anyway.
Then you can pick up your Paul McCartney CD. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
What a hipster
Yeah,
you are.
I mean, it's just like that rant that Dennis Leary had about 10 years ago about, is it impossible to get a cup of flavored coffee anymore? You can get every other flavor except flavored coffee. You know, it's unbelievable. And my girlfriend is a Starbucks freak. And one time I went in there and I got a cup of coffee. She gave me this cup of coffee. Here, try this coffee. I don't really like coffee, but I tried it anyway. I tried it. It tasted exactly like hot chocolate. I'm like, okay, great. I just paid $5 for a cup of hot chocolate that I can make at home out of those boxes of hot chocolate from Carnation that I got 3 Christmases ago.
Hey, by the way, forget Carnation hot chocolate. You could buy Van Houten cocoa, or Drosta cocoa, like the best cocoa on earth, and mix that with some milk and some sugar, and it would cost you half or less. Make it made with the best possible ingredients. It would cost you less than what you paid at Starbucks.
Exactly.
Well, that's why I'm saying I admire Howard Schultz, because he did not underestimate the stupidity of the average American. It's amazing. I salute him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
I hope he raises it to $10 a cup. I really do. I would like to see it go beyond $10 a cup.
Oh yeah, I'd love to sit in a Starbucks just to see how many people would actually pay the extra buck or whatever they're going to raise it for this cup of coffee. Like, do you really need it that bad?
And then they go in there.
I just don't get it.
They can go in there and listen to Tracy Chapman, and they can go in there and listen to Gypsy Kings.
I know. I mean, I just can't believe it, Tom.
Oh boy.
I just wanted to rant, but thanks. You're doing a good job, and I really enjoy the show, man.
Mike, thank you. Appreciate the call. Lauren on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Great.
Well, I have been working at Starbucks for 2.5 years, and I could write a book at this point about the customers. They are insane, and, I mean, they are really addicted, and they really will pay $10 a cup if it goes up to that.
I think that's the only flaw in Howard Schultz's plan. I don't think the coffee's expensive enough. I think these idiots will pay $10 a cup. I do.
They will, because when it went up 5 cents, they did complain, but then they kept on paying, and I know they would pay more. I mean, I've had a bagel thrown at me. I mean, they just get so temperamental. They are addicted to their coffee, and they spend $5, if not more, every single morning before work.
Yes. And by the way, what happens to that money in the tip jar?
We gather it all up, we save it, and then we distribute it amongst ourselves at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people think that they can taste the difference between decaf and regular.
By the way, we are putting a tip jar out by the transmitter.
Okay.
Because I think we're doing a really, really special job. And if you tip us well, I promise to do. I promise I will do an even better show if you will tip me.
Yeah, I mean, some people will tip for ridiculous reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
seriously.
nice. We like it. We like the money.
I might stay over like an extra 10 or 15 minutes one day. If you tip me, I might stay a little longer. I might devote a little more. I might devote a little more attention to my craft.
Yeah, so we should just all give tips to everybody just for being alive, basically.
You know, why do I care if Howard Schultz isn't paying you enough money? Why should that be my concern?
I don't know. Maybe if you're just a nice person and you want to tip us for being there and doing our job.
I would rather give the money to the homeless guy outside of Starbucks. There's always one right outside of Starbucks, isn't there? Right by the door.
There's a crazy guy and there's a homeless guy at every single Starbucks.
Yes. And then how about the crazy guy with the laptop who's sitting there like... Yeah,
they act like... I remember he said, you know, this guy sounds like he's closing deals and
right.
Things like that. Oh, man, we have this one that comes in all the time, and he thinks he is just badass. And he'll yell on his little earpiece. He'll put his little earpiece on so he doesn't have to hold the phone. He'll type as he talks. And he's just yelling about work and how everyone's...
Now here in LA, we've got the local version of Starbucks, the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. And there's one...
Yeah, I actually like Coffee Bean a little better.
Well, there's one on Sunset, right on the Sunset Strip, there between Fairfax and Crescent Heights, on the north side of Sunset Boulevard. And I love this particular location of the Coffee Bean because all the out-of-work actors sit there with scripts. They sit there and they're highlighting.
About that now.
They sit there with their highlighting pen, highlighting their lines. And it's great because it's 10, 11 in the morning. Most of civilized societies at work. Of course, that's why I'm not at work. I'm at the Coffee Bean, but I'm watching all the unemployed actors sitting around me. And I just think it's fantastic.
I mean, people think it's a social thing, too. They think they look better if they're holding a cup of coffee.
Well, it's great. You know, the unemployed actors used to meet at the unemployment office. Now they meet at the Coffee Bean.
Right.
And what I want to know is when you're an unemployed actor, how can you afford drinking coffee at the Coffee Bean, which is the local version of Starbucks? It's the same deal.
I know. I mean, people will spend, and you were saying earlier about your ex-girlfriend, how she would reload $50 every week.
Yeah.
We've got customers that really do that every week. They'll get $50 just for themselves.
Why don't they just whip out the credit card and charge a cup of coffee? Why do you want to recharge the Starbucks card? Do you think there's some kind of cachet? You open your wallet going, oh, by the way, I've got a Starbucks card.
It's a gift card to themselves. And there's also Duetto credit cards, and it's...
yes, I love that. That one, by the way, that works the same way, except you can buy other stuff with it. So what you do is you give Starbucks, $500, and then you've got your Duetto card, and you can go out and spend the money that you've already given to Starbucks.
And they'll earn money back from Starbucks if they spend, I don't even know how much, but they'll get...
But you have to spend it at Starbucks,
free $10 towards Starbucks if they spend a certain amount of money on their Duetto card.
By the way, I'm going to tell you a little secret about Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. And by the way, if you're a Starbucks customer, maybe you want to know about this. You can get gift cards for Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf at Costco.
Really?
Yes, where you can get them for less than the face value. Why would you buy one at Coffee Bean if you can drive out to Costco and buy like a stack of these?
Maybe people think it's not, they feel like they're a true Coffee Bean customer if they just go there and buy it.
Stupid.
People really think a lot of themselves by going to Starbucks every day.
They do, right? They think
$4 chai.
Yeah. And by the way, all these people who know all the terminology.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to know it. I've been there for 2.5 years. I mean, it's like riding a bicycle. Can you remember the most outrageous order you ever got at Starbucks? The most disgusting order I've gotten is a venti white mocha with whipped cream, and it was with breve. And breve is half and half. People will drink half and half.
Why don't they call it half and half?
Because it's creamier.
Because that's how you charge $5 for a cup of coffee. It's not milk. It's not half and half. It's not coffee.
I mean, I don't know. That was the most disgusting order. And I looked at the nutrition facts, and it was almost 900 calories. And
900 calories. That's great.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah. So when you hear breve, that's half and half. So it's just disgusting. But thanks a lot, Tom. I just wanted to tell you my little stories.
Why, thank you so much. I appreciate the call.
1-800-5800-TOM.
How tall are you, Michelle?
5'2".
5'2" and 180. I don't know if you'd call that big.
Have you ever had an orgasm on the show? Yes, I have.
She was eating a Twinkie.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Somewhere in Hollywood, and they won't let me tell you where. It's the Tom Leykis Show. Oh, big price increase coming at Starbucks. It's so sad. Caroline, hello.
Hello.
Is that a question or a statement?
Okay. Hi, Tom. It's Caroline. Hey, I was calling because I was driving home from work. I manage a Starbucks, and I was listening to... and I was getting very aggravated. I totally understand your point if you don't like Starbucks or if it's not something that, you enjoy. But, although some coffees might be more expensive or even like you said, $4 or $5 a cup of coffee, really what people are paying for, they're not paying necessarily for the coffee. They're
paying for they're paying because there is no culture. Now stop with that. They have low self-esteem and they believe the marketing that Starbucks puts out, which, by the way, I'm a capitalist. I think it's a free country and it's free enterprise. I think it's great. But I have enough self-esteem to know I don't need to go to some storefront somewhere with a couch in it to feel good about myself.
Right, and you know what?
Listening to Tracy Chapman music playing in the background. I don't need that.
Right, and you know what? And you might not, but
those who do are pathetic and they've got self-esteem issues.
Well, people are narcissists, and what we do at Starbucks is we know them. We know their family. We know their
if you're that desperate for a friend, if people are that desperate for a friend, I say try instant messaging. Try chat rooms.
Well,
They're a lot cheaper.
That's a big hit as well. And on top of
they cost a lot less than going to Starbucks.
That we do provide, it is, it's
the
good
culture. This is not a culture.
Though it really truly is. And,
no, it really truly isn't any more than McDonald's is a culture. Please.
Well, McDonald's is different. I go to McDonald's sometimes, and, I get my bag handed to me without a hello, without eye contact, without, here you go. Half the time I have to wait at the window.
By the way, many Starbucks, they do nothing but just bark my name out at me. Tom? Can you order the latte? Tom? Come on.
You're not going to the right ones then.
Oh, stop it. No, you know what? I can make coffee at home that's as good as what you make, and I don't have to sit there with the group of lunatics who want to sit in there for any more than 30 seconds. By the way, why would anyone want to stay there after they buy coffee?
Because that's the environment that they enjoy.
Well, what environment?
That's created.
What environment? What is it about? Tell me what is so special about this environment.
Well, it's a comfortable environment. It's a place where they go that they know that they can relax.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not
Well, I got a place like that.
Lots of things going on.
Oh, I got a place like that. It's called my living room. I do not need to sit in a storefront in a strip mall somewhere to feel good about myself.
Right. And you know what? I understand that. And you have a different situation than most people.
What's that?
You are very self-reliant. You have, your money. You're very comfortable.
Oh, so you admit these are people with self-esteem issues. There are self-reliant people like myself, and then there's the desperate, needy types who need to spend $5 on a cup of coffee to feel like they're alive.
And you know what? I wouldn't say that. But I would say that there's some people that like being around other people, that's how they unwind. And, I think it's amazing.
I like being around other people, but I don't need to be around other people who spend $5 for a cup of coffee. I'd rather be in a more exclusive group of people that does not include the homeless people who go dumpster diving to find an empty Starbucks cup so they can get a 50-cent refill and hang out in there all day long, or the person who goes in there because they don't have internet access at home and they whip open their laptop and camp out there for 6 hours at a time. I don't want to sit around those people.
Well, and that's why you choose not to go. But
the people who do are hypnotized by the wonderful marketing of Howard Schultz and Starbucks. But the reality is that you're in a storefront in a strip mall with a bunch of lunatics sitting around on couches, hanging around all day in what used to be a video store or a yogurt shop. and somehow you've got people convinced that they're sitting at the Taj Mahal.
See, I think you're misunderstanding. And, there's a lot of people that could say, a lot of things about what you enjoy. And I'm really actually very surprised that, your love of wine, that you don't enjoy the coffee and the different flavors of coffee. And there was another caller that said,
I love coffee. I love coffee. I love coffee, but I don't need you to make it for me.
Right. And you know what? You have a great espresso machine at home. I have a great espresso machine. The same thing. And you know what? I make my drinks at home, and I make them at my parents' house. I bought them one for Christmas, and I still go to Starbucks on my days off at least 3 times a day.
3 times a day? You're nuts.
I love it.
You're insane. By the way,
I have very high self-confidence. I'm very self-sufficient.
Well, then you must know you can get Starbucks beans at Costco. You don't need to go to Starbucks to get Starbucks coffee.
Well, I don't need to buy it at Costco. As a benefit for working for Starbucks, I get free coffee.
I mean, just sitting and listening to the creepy music that plays in Starbucks all day long. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Well, see, I mean, creepy music. We play
Creepy.
music that's played on the radio.
Downright. No, you don't. Now, not any radio stations I know of. The only radio station I know of that plays Starbucks music is on XM satellite radio, where there's a Starbucks channel where you can hear the same music that's playing right now in Starbucks.
Right. Which
And
is,
it's creepy.
you know, a lot
It is
now.
creepy music. It's creepy music from countries I never intend to visit by artists I've never heard of. And anybody who likes listening to that music is just insane.
See, I think that you haven't visited a Starbucks in a while.
I've been to Starbucks this year. I have been to Starbucks this year. And that's great. You've got the Paul McCartney CD sitting next to the register. Very exciting.
Well, yeah, that is one. I mean, there's Beastie Boys, there's Ryan Adams, there's a ton.
Beastie Boys? You're playing Beastie Boys at Starbucks now. Boy, how they've fallen. I'll tell you what, it's all over for them.
Well, you know, it's my point is that it's not random music. It's music that, you know, you hear on the radio station.
What radio stations? I work in the radio business, dear.
Right.
I know what's being played on the radio. I listen to radio stations. It's my job. And you do not play music that's played on radio stations. Otherwise, why don't you just play a radio station?
Well, because Starbucks owns Hear Music, so they're obviously going.
They're humping the CDs that they're promoting. That's what that's all about.
Exactly, but the thing is, they also, I mean, there's Starbucks Entertainment. There's a lot more to Starbucks than just
a
store.
lot more. Yeah, that's right. You're marketing all kinds of crap to people all at the same time and telling us what a wonderful environment you're creating. You're just creating an environment of marketing crap to people. That's all it is. And by the way, that's what America's all about. That's free enterprise. God bless America. I think, but admit it. Don't tell me this is some wonderful culture. This is a wonderful exercise in capitalism where you are constantly bombarding people with product placement and trying to hump movies and books and CDs and other stuff that you guys are involved in marketing. And that music is creepy. I'm sorry, it's creepy.
You know, and like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And if you don't want to sit and enjoy the music, then you don't have to. If you're more comfortable in your living room, then
I just give Howard Schultz. By the way, I give Howard Schultz credit. I'm all about. I'm stocking companies.
You know what? He is a wonderful man, and he actually took this culture. He wanted to create this whole thing because he went to Italy.
You're a Mooney, for God's sake. You're a cult follower. This culture. This culture. You work in the mall.
Companies.
You work in a strip mall, dear. There is no culture any more than there's a culture at the AM PM down the block. You got to be kidding me.
Well, you're wrong about that.
No, it's a culture. It's not
because
merely marketing of stuff for way more than it's worth, but it's a culture. It's an attitude. It's a feeling. It's a lifestyle. You go in there and you curl up on the sofa and you listen to Ziggy Marley and you drink a Frappuccino and you meet other stimulating individuals like yourself who are sitting around with nothing better to do all day long. You got to be kidding me.
Well, and you know what? I'm not saying you go and hang out all day long. Some people do enjoy that, and that's what they like, and they do. They meet other people. They play chess. They do, you know, whatever it is.
By the way, if I met a woman at Starbucks, the first thing I'd think is, I do not want to pay this woman's Starbucks bill.
Well,
I would never date a woman who goes to Starbucks because I'd never want to have to pay for her coffee.
well, and you know, that's the choice that you have.
And don't worry, I've made the choice. Tell you what. Our email address is my name. It's tom@blowmeuptom.com.
The Tom Leykis Show.